This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for USVI News. I'm Haley Potter. New today, mail delivery to the Virgin Islands was delayed for an entire week. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett put a statement out Friday saying between August 20th and August 27th, there was suspension of mail inbound and outbound at the San Juan facility due to structural issues at the processing center. Plaskett says there was no letter mail delivered to the territory for an entire week. She doesn't believe local residents or VI USPS employees were made aware of this, saying, quote, "This is entirely unacceptable and is a clear reminder of a continually occurring systematic issue that we have in receiving mail from Puerto Rico. Fundamentally, it is unreliable." She's working with the VP of Retail and Delivery Operations to resolve this issue moving forward. FEMA is promising to give more than $7 million to repair the Marley Homes complex in St. Croix. The Office of Disaster Recovery announced the Virgin Islands Housing Authority has been obligated $7.6 million to complete repairs to Marley Homes and additions in Frederickstead. The funds from FEMA through the Public Assistance Program have been allocated to refurbish 19 residential structures as well as the community center, office, and Head Start buildings. After Hurricanes Irma and Maria back in 2017, the authority worked to execute immediate repairs to ensure the residents of the community had safe, inhabitable homes. The initial renovations addressed things like fencing, flooring, roofing, and electrical work. But to further the work, the Housing Authority says this much-needed money will be used to complete additional permanent roofing repairs to the hurricane-damaged section of the waterfront property. The long-awaited target completion date is now October 30th. The government of the Virgin Islands and Department of Justice are taking a stand against an act that could change the government. Board of WAPA, USVI News' Ali Bornvanak has more on why the government is opposing this and those details.
The VI Department of Justice is taking legal action to prevent Act number 8472 to move forward. According to the Department of Justice, this act, quote, relates to the makeup and the removal of members of WAPA's governing board. The Department of Justice says this action is unconstitutional and infringes on the power of the executive branch of the USVI. Act 8472, which was overridden by the 34th legislature after the governor's veto, would reduce the number of WAPA board members from 9 to 7, specifically appointing the director of the Virgin Islands Energy Office as the governor's sole cabinet-level member on the board. As legal action moves forward, the Department of Justice notes that only the court can determine the constitutionality of an act or statute. In St. Thomas, Ali Bornvanak, USVI News.
Thanks, Ali. Members of the Virgin Islands Fire Service and Health Department toured several schools in the territory this week to make sure they're safe and ready for back-to-school learning, which starts next week. These are pictures of the Claude Marco Elementary School in St. Thomas. As you can see, there are safety measures in place like plexiglass and spacing at some of those desks. Those with the VI Department of Health, the Fire Service, and Public Works toured several schools throughout the territory to make sure desk spacing is correct, meeting the new CDC guidelines of at least 2 feet apart. Many people are excited the district's prepared to welcome students back for in-person learning for select public school students. Public school students in pre-K through 3rd grade and special education students return to the classrooms next Tuesday, September 7th. Government House and the Health and Educators Department are continuing to monitor situation and the COVID-19 case counts in the territory in hopes to sometime soon bring in-person learning back for all public school students who, as now, will remain learning virtually.
Students in grade 4 through 12 will continue to learn virtually for now, but we're pressing to get them back in school soon too, because there's all the things that are associated with them not showing up as well. A lot of our children don't get a solid meal every day and depend on the Department of Education for breakfast as well as lunch. So we're going to make sure we do all we can, and the No VI Child Goes Hungry Feeding Initiative will continue territory-wide.
In addition to pre-K through 3rd grades, the St. Croix Career and Technical Education Center in St. Croix is also prepared and excited to welcome students on September 7th. They say the campus is clean and bright and enjoyed a recent facelift too. It's Labor Day weekend and September is Labor Month, so the Department of Labor is doing its part to keep the VI community safe by making sure workers in the territory and anybody who wants one has easy access to COVID-19 vaccines. Next week, they're hosting vaccine drives in St. Thomas and St. Croix. Tuesday, September 7th, you can head to the VI Department of Labor's parking lot in St. Thomas and get a shot from 10 until 2 p.m. Then later next week on Thursday, September 9th, the vaccine drive's also set for 10 to 2 at the Vital parking lot on St. Croix. They're hosting the drives in conjunction with the VI Department of Health. The U.S. is now reporting more than a quarter of the world's new COVID-19 cases. As children head back to school, the CDC says new studies show COVID doesn't appear to be more severe in children, but it says more of them are getting sick in communities with lower vaccination rates. Meantime, ahead of the Labor Day weekend, the CDC is warning people about hitting the roads, saying unvaccinated people should stay home. They're also recommending everyone, regardless of vaccination status, wear a mask if you're going to be indoors in a crowded place this holiday weekend. In a new record high for child COVID-19 hospitalizations, as more students return to school for the first time in a year, some districts are closing schools following deaths and a spike in cases. We have a closer look at these concerning numbers.
Growing concerns about rising COVID-19 cases among children who are being hospitalized at the highest rate in more than a year. New CDC data showing just how seriously the Delta variant can hit people who are unvaccinated.
Most either are unvaccinated or under the age of 12 and unable to get vaccinated. The numbers have been 3 or 4 times what we were seeing last winter at its peak.
The CDC says between August 20th and 26th, an average of 330 children were admitted to hospitals every day with COVID-19.
I have a mission for them to get 2 or 3 other people vaccinated, and for the kids who are in high school to get some of their classmates vaccinated.
It comes as COVID-19 concerns force some schools in Florida and Texas to go virtual again. In Texas, a school district closing schools after 2 teachers died of COVID-19 in the same week. In Northwest Florida, school districts in 2 counties also shutting down until after Labor Day, either due to a spike in COVID cases or quarantine-related staffing shortages, or both. Neither district mandates masks for students or staff. Meanwhile, FDA advisors will meet September 17th to discuss Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine boosters. That's just 3 days before the White House target date.
They are preparing for the likelihood that we will be giving boosters to individuals, and logistically we'll be starting it on the week of September the 20th.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Emily Schmidt.
Now on to some news regarding the devastating hurricane on the mainland. President Biden is in Louisiana surveying the devastation left behind by Hurricane Ida as multiple states have declared states of emergency in the wake of this storm. 11 FEMA teams have deployed to help Louisiana, Mississippi, New York, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. The storm triggered tornadoes and floodwaters and is being blamed for more than 24 deaths. USVI News' Emily Matson looks at the damage the storm left behind in the northeast area of the mainland.
When Ida arrived in the Northeast, it still had plenty of fight.
We saw a horrifying storm last night, unlike anything we have seen before.
Heavy rain in New York City created waterfalls in subway stations and flash flooding, rising water inundating a bus in Queens. In New Jersey, roadways became waterways overnight. Cars overwhelmed by the rising water. Rescuers busy throughout the region today using air and water to bring people to safety.
I'm not for nothing. We're homeless right now. But this all, we're all going to come together and we're going to figure out a solution and we'll go from there.
Before the storm slammed New York, it hit Maryland and Metro Philadelphia. A possible tornado pounded a South Jersey community.
It was pretty quick. Wind, maybe 5 minutes, and then just everything was decimated.
A fast-moving storm that left long-lasting damage.